My first corporate job felt like a dream come true. I was full of energy, eager to learn, and ready to impress. My boss, let's call him Alex, seemed brilliant at first. He was charismatic, confident, and had a way of making you feel like you were part of something big. The first few months were a whirlwind of praise. He'd single me out in meetings, highlighting my work. He called me a rock star. I was on top of the world, working late, pushing myself harder, all for that hit of validation. I tied my self-worth directly to his approval. If he was happy, I was a success. If he wasn't, I was a failure. Then, the shift happened. It was subtle at first. A project I poured my heart into was dismissed with a wave of his hand. "This isn't what I wanted," he said, without any constructive feedback. The praise became scarce, replaced by constant, vague criticism. He'd question my commitment in front of others. He'd change project requirements at the last minute and then blame me for the missed deadlines. I started to second-guess everything. Was I not smart enough? Was I not working hard enough? His words burrowed into my mind, and I started to believe them. I remember one particularly brutal performance review. He listed my supposed failures, twisting my successes into shortcomings. He said my initiative showed I was a poor team player. My attention to detail was just me being slow. I left that room feeling completely crushed, like a hollowed-out version of myself. I went home and replayed every word, every criticism, trying to figure out what was wrong with me. I spent weeks in a fog of anxiety, my confidence shattered. I started to dread going to work, my stomach twisting into knots every time I saw an email from him. This cycle of praise and devaluation is a classic tactic. It keeps you hooked, always chasing that initial high of approval. But the criticism isn't about helping you grow. It's about control. It's designed to keep you off balance, to make you dependent on their validation. I was absorbing his negativity like a sponge. I let his opinion define my reality and my value. I was drowning, and I didn't even realize he was the one holding my head under the water. The constant stress was affecting my health, my relationships, everything. I knew something had to change. I couldn't quit just yet, so I had to find a way to survive. The turning point came when I started researching his behavior. The patterns were undeniable. It wasn't about me. It was about his need for control and admiration. That's when I made a conscious decision. I would stop absorbing his criticism. It was like building an invisible shield around myself. When he'd start a tirade, instead of internalizing it, I'd mentally picture his words bouncing off this shield. I'd listen for any sliver of actionable feedback and discard the rest as noise. The personal attacks, the emotional manipulation, the vague complaints, I just let them go. I started documenting everything unemotionally, dates, times, specific comments. This wasn't for revenge. It was to see the pattern clearly, to ground myself in facts, not his distorted reality. I focused on my work, on delivering results, and on building alliances with my colleagues. I found my validation in the quality of my work and the respect of my peers, not in the whims of my boss. It wasn't easy. It took practice every single day. There were times I'd slip and an unfair comment would sting, but I'd remind myself, his words are a reflection of him, not me. Slowly, I rebuilt my confidence from the inside out. But I started to see his attempts to undermine me for what they were, a sign of his own insecurity. The power he held over me was the power I had given him. By refusing to absorb his toxicity, I took that power back. It was incredibly liberating. I was no longer a victim of his moods. I was a professional, doing my job, protected by my own sense of worth. This mental shield didn't change him, but it fundamentally changed my experience of working for him. It gave me the space to plan my next move, and when I finally left that job, I did it not as a broken person, but as someone who had learned a powerful lesson in self-preservation. You can't control what they say, but you can control what you let in. Don't absorb the poison. Protect your peace.